It's interesting to see which mistakes I make when writing, because oftentimes that's connected to a PTS trigger. Again, the CBT, DBT classes saying to describe, and that being the motivator to eventually start talking again after losing my voice. Literally, I was unable to speak. This goes back to differences before and after assault. And the memory of different. Somebody was very upset and fought hard to make sure that their child was never treated differently. And that's why it's interesting that I met someone in 2009 who immediately said that his family hated difference. What an odd thing to share. Everyone in my family remembers how often my dad had to remind this unstable, insecure, and angry woman because her child was being treated differently. Please, let's not even get into the details here, but this child was being abused. We watched her beat him and protect the predatory behavior that none of us were okay with. So, as siblings, we decided to protect each other. And that's why I'm grateful for my brothers and my sister. And that's why this story is not just my own. They taught me everything I needed to know to be able to restructure after trauma. Before my father passed away, he said, you're going to have to market yourself. I love that you volunteer so much, but you need to start thinking how to make that into a business. And just remember, you do whatever you want, but no swears and no shouts. That's because he used to tell her the same thing. That's because I was swearing and shouting and reliving one of the worst people ever to walk the earth. I'm talking evil. And the generational cycles of neuroticism begin with them. That's why when I met someone in 2009, yikes. That's why when somebody announced that they did not have the best relationship with their parents, again, cycles of neuroticism, I thought I would not only be prepared for this, saw myself as someone who could help this person, because after identifying their bullies in year one, I thought, wow, this person's so much farther ahead than so many other people I've been around with the same issue, trauma. Let's not go there quite yet. I'm just identifying the fact that I made a little mistake here, and now we're going to talk about every single miscue. It's connected to that inattention or inability to catch them. Other diagnoses that I was given, when it really just comes down to treatment. Let's focus on the treatment of those that are different, okay? Because these are the kids that grow up hurting themselves and hurting others. This is not a theory, but it's a fact, since I saw the cycles of neuroticism from an early age. And now I get to talk about it. Hooray. This will be the space where I start to share what I've learned about how abuse of power works. They intimidate, change the narrative, use retaliation, use confusion, and never actually increase their own knowledge, even if given the exact thing to Google. I told psychiatrists that they need to Google IDEA, Individuals Disability Education Act, because what I was saying about changing the law and the standards for treatment is not manic. What they said, this grandiosity, sense of changing the world, is where I literally stepped in to say, I think we have a miscommunication here. When I say change the law, that doesn't mean change the world, but it could change the lives of people that are suffering, absolutely. See, I'm a specialist too. I'm required to take paperwork. I'm required to fill out paperwork. Sorry, that's my AOS popping And that's up. Another thing that doctors need to be aware of. While concussion is a terrible thing, it's the symptoms of concussion or post-concussive syndrome that doctors need to fine-tune their expertise in and listen to patients. Now, as I hear it, my voice being what I use to catch those behaviors, the first step in a CBT DBT course, which was effective in getting me to talk when I didn't. But the problem is they don't have a second step after that. Doctors, neurologists, specialists, and the administration, patient management, Eileen Johnson at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, when the behaviors of the doctors covering up the abuse, violence, and violations of kids with special needs re-triggered the behaviors of a school system, which at the time I thought, well, I guess the excuse of not having knowledge of special ed is appropriate, except the second round of assaults made it very clear it's not the knowledge, it's the desire. You're just going to try to use the system to hide, cover up, and not submit incident reports. Shouldn't there be a consequence for those who cheat, lie, and steal? Especially when public education is a business. Okay, these kids are valued. Right. Instead of stressing out my neck, my body, my face, and my nerve radiculopathy go poppity pop pop. All right, since I'm having issues speaking, we'll just stop right here. I'm just gonna stop. All right, that's part one. Get it out. Thank you. The second step to this is how reviews are removed. Yelp removed my reviews, health grades removed my reviews, and then of course the doctors themselves, when I wrote to them after they were not responding to the electrical digital communications through their own company, did not submit my words in my medical record. This is a strange behavior, except it's really not that strange. If people want to cover up what they've done and what they're doing, just don't submit it. Then you have this medical record that is free of responsibility of those that removed the patient's feedback. I don't need to write a review. I need to deal with this one-on-one with the people literally doing the harm. But now I have to go online. And that's it. If you remove the ability for people to comment and connect, then you think your company can do whatever it wants. Whatever it wants. When there is a trigger connected to another behavior, either predatory behaviors, abuses of power, the use of hypocrisy, and attempts at assassinating characterization, etc., etc., I will say it 3 times. It can do whatever it wants. Whatever it wants. Since I have a really great healthcare team at the moment, comprised of women that have not only shown me they have knowledge, empathy, and ability to make reasonable decisions, explain their thinking, and seriously don't participate in low ethical standards, I feel pretty comfortable being able to comment on the best and the worst practices. I actually started out in medicine before transferring to literature and then finally finding teaching, even though I kind of thought I'd go into law. I know the law is what protects people who have been oppressed upon. My voice is kind of hit or miss right now, so I think we're going to stop. Just remember, when they remove the ability to speak, share, and connect, that is basic oppression. And if they are not actively trying to connect people, that's sort of a learned strategy. That is a larger philosophy of a company, organization, charity, a group of people, like a board, etc., of directors in an HOA. All right, we're going to stop right there yet again. Since my neurologist from 2015, also at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, suggested I keep track of my nerve radiculopathy symptoms, I can tell you a body check means everything is elevated, right side pain, radiating pain, spasms in my arms, legs, lower back. I use my voice to document the symptoms, since my nerve radiculopathy is head to toe. Step 2 is to reflect back and be able to sit with discomfort while validating the subconscious, primordial, endocrine and sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system response to something called stress. Whether it's distress or eustress, the body is going to react authentically. In education, authentic assessment means, you know, a quick snapshot in the moment.
That doesn't mean women didn't have a say or couldn't rise to power or even become warriors or dignitaries. In fact, quite the opposite is true. Particularly before the Roman conquest, Celtic women could lead tribes, as was the case with Boudica. She was the queen of her tribe and led her warriors into battle against the Roman Empire. And speaking of gender and sexuality, one element of Celtic culture that's become widely believed is that not only could women hold positions of power, but that Celtic men often preferred the company of other men. It was commonplace for men to seek out sexual companionship with their fellow male warriors, and likewise women practiced free love in Celtic culture, according to historical records from their contemporaries. Number 4.
All right, part 3 is where we transform this. Take the worst and make it into the best. Please recognize that like I don't require speech that makes me ineligible. That makes me unintelligible or hard to understand. Disorder that you're hearing now. The best thing one can do to assist somebody suffering from inability to communicate is patience. Ask questions volume, by assessing your own understanding of what you don't get. Articulation, pronunciation, enunciation, as well as the word choice, communicate. Thank you. Ready for part 3? Part 3, it's coming. This body keeps a humming, and I know what they did to those little kids. And I know why I show, 'cause this is your homecoming. While my nose I be a thumbing, just keep on strumming. from this moment on, I'm editing, which means elevating difference in moments of institutional treachery or isolated trauma. That's right, it's other people's drama. That's why you gotta, rely on yourself, not your mama. And if you make a mess, clean it up. I don't like anyone that is so corrupt, and I guess that's why I erupt. PTSD goes and flows, so we can either distract ourselves, home retaliation, discrimination, and violence, because of someone not wanting to do what they wanted to do. But they did what they wanted to do, so why the boo-hoo? Oh, right, and this is when they try to get away from you.
They try to get away from you, and that is why we start to renew. Thank you.